Hello, partner. In the vast and unforgiving territory of the Wild West, where the law was often written in blood and gunpowder, legendary figures emerged who became synonymous with justice and brutality. These were the bounty hunters, men who walked the fine line between order and chaos, pursuing the most dangerous outlaws. In this video, we list the 10 greatest bounty hunters of the Wild West, each with their own unique stories and characteristics that shaped the legend of the Wild West. Their tales of bravery, cunning, and relentless pursuit of justice have carved their names in history. Bat Masterson, the ruthless sheriff, known for his skill with firearms and unwavering determination, began his career as a sheriff and bounty hunter. He was a man of principle, but did not hesitate to use force when necessary. His main characteristic was efficiency. Masterson captured countless criminals, always with a keen eye and a steady hand on his revolver. Masterson was also a respected journalist, writing about his adventures and life in the Old West. His stories helped shape the image of the West as a place of bravery and danger. He became a public figure, respected for his actions as well as his words. A notable event in his career was his participation in the infamous Dodge City War, where he helped restore order to a crime-ridden town. Even after retiring as sheriff, Masterson continued to influence law and order in the West. He moved to New York, where he worked as a sports columnist, but his legend as a bounty hunter and defender of justice endured. While Bat Masterson's legacy was built on a foundation of efficiency and public respect, another figure in the Old West was building a reputation of a different kind. Known for his ruthless methods and unyielding pursuit of justice, Tom Horn was a name that struck fear into the hearts of many. Tom Horn, the brutal tracker Tom Horn, was feared for his brutality. Starting out as a scout for the U.S. Army, he quickly rose to prominence as a ruthless bounty hunter. Horn was known for his violent methods and his ability to track down any target, no matter how far away or well hidden. His reputation for brutality was so great that many criminals would rather surrender than face his wrath. Horn worked for large ranchers and cattle companies, eliminating cattle rustlers and other criminals. He was meticulous in his work, often acting alone and leaving few clues. His efficiency and lack of scruples made him a feared and respected figure. A significant event in his career was the murder of Willie Nickel, for which Horn was convicted and hanged. Despite controversy over his guilt, Horn was executed in 1903, leaving a legacy of brutality and efficiency that is still remembered today. As Tom Horn's reign of terror drew to a close, another lawman was making his mark on the annals of the Old West. Pat Garret, known for his relentless pursuit and final confrontation with one of the most infamous outlaws, would soon become a legend in his own right. Pat Garret, the man who killed Billy the Kid, the man who made history by killing Billy the Kid, was a respected bounty hunter and sheriff. His defining characteristic was determination. Garret pursued Billy the Kid with relentless tenacity, showing the world that justice could prevail even in the wilds of the West. Garret wrote a book about his adventures, The Authentic Life of Billy the Kid, which helped cement his reputation as one of the greatest bounty hunters of the Old West. His narrative offered a unique insight into the lives and challenges faced by lawmen of the time. A notable event in his career was the gunfight at Maxwell Ranch, where Garret finally confronted and killed Billy the Kid. Despite his fame, Garret faced financial and political hardships throughout his life. He was assassinated in 1908, but his legend as the man who brought Billy the Kid to justice lives on. While Pat Garret's story is one of relentless pursuit and ultimate justice, another lawman was making his own indelible mark on the Old West. Bass Reeves, a man of unmatched courage and integrity, would capture more outlaws than any of his contemporaries, becoming a legendary figure in his own right. Bass Reeves was a notable figure in American history. Born in July 1838 in Crawford County, Arkansas, he began his life as a slave. During the American Civil War, Reeves escaped to Indian Territory, where he learned several native languages and tracking skills. In 1875, he was appointed a federal marshal by Judge Isaac Parker, known as the Hanging Judge. Reeves worked primarily in Indian Territory, a dangerous area rife with horse thieves, gunfighters, and other criminals. During his 32-year career, He arrested more than 3,000 criminals and killed 14 in self-defense. Reeves was known for his courage and skill with weapons, often using a Winchester rifle and a Colt Peacemaker revolver. He is also remembered for his integrity. In one notable case, he arrested his own son for murder. A notable event in his career was the capture of his own son, who had committed murder. Reeves refused to let family ties interfere with his duty, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to justice. His career spanned more than 3 decades, during which he served with distinction and honor. Reeves retired in 1907, leaving a legacy of courage and justice that continues to inspire generations. There is speculation that Reeves may have been the inspiration for the fictional character the Lone Ranger. After retiring as a deputy, he worked as a police officer in Muskogee, Oklahoma, until his death in 1910. As Bass Reeves' illustrious career drew to a close, another figure was rising to prominence in the rugged landscape of the Old West. Known for his sharp wit and unyielding determination, Wyatt Earp would become one of the most iconic lawmen of his time. Wyatt Earp, the legendary lawman Wyatt Earp, was a man of many talents, a lawman, a gambler, and a saloon owner. His defining characteristic was his unwavering determination. Earp was involved in some of the most famous events of the Old West, including the gunfight at the OK Corral. Earp's reputation was built on his ability to maintain order in the lawless towns of the West. He worked alongside his brothers and close friends, forming a formidable team that took on the most dangerous outlaws. His methods were often controversial, but his results were undeniable. A notable event in his career was the Vendetta Ride, where Earp and his gang sought revenge for the murder of his brother Morgan. This relentless pursuit of justice solidified Earp's place in history as one of the greatest lawmen of the Old West. He lived to see his legend grow, passing away in 1929, but his legacy as a symbol of law and order lives on. As the legend of Wyatt Earp grew, another lawman was making his mark with a blend of charisma and deadly precision. Known for his quick draw and fearless nature, Wild Bill Hickok would become a legendary figure in his own right. Wild Bill Hickok, the fearless gunfighter Wild Bill Hickok, born James Butler Hickok, was a larger-than-life figure, known for his quick draw and fearless nature. His defining characteristic was his charisma. Hickok's exploits as a lawman, scout, and showman made him one of the most famous figures of the Old West. Hickok's reputation was built on his skill with a gun and his ability to handle the most difficult situations. He served as a marshal in several towns, where his presence alone was often enough to maintain order. His life was full of adventure, from his days as a scout during the Civil War to his time as a performer in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. A notable event in his career was the infamous Dead Man's Hand, the poker hand he was holding when he was shot and killed in Deadwood, South Dakota. Hickok's death was as dramatic as his life, cementing his status as a legend of the Old West. He is frequently portrayed in films, books, and television shows, symbolizing the era of the gunslinger and the American frontier. While the story of Wild Bill Hickok was coming to a tragic end, another figure was rising to prominence with a reputation for bravery and brutality. Known for his relentless pursuit of justice, Judge Roy Bean would become a legendary figure in the annals of the Old West. Judge Roy Bean, the law west of the Pecos. Judge Roy Bean was a saloon owner and justice of the peace who became known as the law west of the Pecos. His defining characteristic was his unconventional approach to justice. Bean held court in his saloon, dispensing a rough-and-ready form of law that was as severe as it was effective. Bean's reputation was built on his ability to maintain order in a lawless region. He was known for his eccentric rulings and his unwavering commitment to justice, no matter how unorthodox his methods. His courtroom, known as the Jersey Lily, became a symbol of frontier justice. A notable event in his career was his handling of the Lantry train robbery case, where he used his unique brand of justice to bring the culprits to justice. Bean's legacy as a symbol of frontier law and order continues to be remembered today. As Judge Roy Bean's unconventional reign of justice continued, another figure was making his mark with a blend of cunning and courage. Known for his relentless pursuit of outlaws, Pinkerton detective Charlie Siringo would become a legendary figure in his own right. Imagine a man with a shrewd eye and a sharp mind, always one step ahead of the criminals he pursued. That was Charlie Siringo, a detective with the famous Pinkerton agency, whose intelligence and investigative skills were as remarkable as his writing. Siringo was not just a bounty hunter, he was a natural storyteller. His adventures, recorded in several books, offered a fascinating glimpse into the dangerous and exciting life he led. He was known for his ability to infiltrate criminal gangs, using his cunning to gather vital information. His ability to blend in and gain the trust of criminals was legendary, allowing him to dismantle criminal organizations from the inside out. One of the most defining moments of his career was when he infiltrated Butch Cassidy's gang. For months, Siringo lived among the criminals, observing and collecting information that would eventually lead to the capture of several members of the gang. This operation not only highlighted his courage, but also his patience and dedication to justice. After retiring from pursuit and infiltration, Siringo turned to writing. His memoirs became bestsellers, not only entertaining but also educating the public about the dangers and challenges faced by bounty hunters. His books were a mix of action and thought, offering valuable lessons about life in the Old West and the eternal struggle between good and evil. Charlie Siringo, with his wit and literary talent, left a lasting legacy as both a detective and an author, inspiring future generations to follow in his footsteps in the pursuit of justice. In contrast, James Jim Miller, known as Killer Miller, was the embodiment of coldness and deadly precision. While Siringo used his intelligence to promote justice, Miller used his position as a bounty hunter to satisfy his thirst for profit. Every shot fired, every life taken, was another step forward in his relentless pursuit of wealth. A defining event in his career was the assassination of Sheriff Pat Garret, the man who had killed the legendary outlaw Billy the Kid. This bold and ruthless act solidified Miller's reputation as one of the most dangerous men in the West. However, his career of violence and terror came to an abrupt end in 1909, when he was captured and lynched by an angry mob tired of his tyranny. Despite his violent death, Jim Miller's legacy endures. He left an indelible mark on the history of the Old West, remembered as much for his deadly efficiency as for the terror he spread. His life is a grim reminder of the dangers and challenges faced by those who lived and died by the rule of the gun. Every shot fired, every life taken, was another step forward in his relentless pursuit of wealth. A defining event in his career was the assassination of Sheriff Pat Garret, the man who had killed the legendary outlaw Billy the Kid. This bold and ruthless act solidified Miller's reputation as one of the most dangerous men in the West. However, his career of violence and terror came to an abrupt end in 1909, when he was captured and lynched by an angry mob tired of his tyranny. Despite his violent death, Jim Miller's legacy endures. He left an indelible mark on the history of the Old West, remembered as much for his deadly efficiency as for the terror he spread. His life is a grim reminder of the dangers and challenges faced by those who lived and died by the rule of the gun. Another who has made history with his shooting, courage, and bravery was John Jack Coffee Hayes. Tactical Ranger Jack Hayes, a famous Texas Ranger, was known for his guerrilla tactics and his ability to capture dangerous criminals. His defining characteristic was strategy. Hayes used his intelligence and knowledge of the terrain to ambush and capture his targets with military efficiency. Hayes was a pioneer in the use of guerrilla tactics, often overcoming numerically superior enemies with ambushes and surprise attacks. His leadership and courage inspired many other rangers and bounty hunters. A notable event in his career was the Battle of Walker Creek, where Hayes and his men defeated a group of Comanches in a brilliantly planned ambush. After his career as a ranger, Hayes continued to serve as a community leader and law enforcement officer. He became a respected and admired figure, both for his military skills and his commitment to justice.